I got troubles. I come to church, I got troubles. You are going to be Christian if you're going to take on the cross of Christ. You're going to be vexed with troubles. There is no utopian in this walk. Then Jesus ends this statement after he says the world has tribulations, but be of good courage or be of good cheer. I have overcome the world.
I've asked others, I say, why is it that this is so significant that God allows me to face these unending crises? And someone explained to me that if not you, then who? You are a living testimony to the inevitable power of God working in the human, the ability to continue despite the crises, to work 8, 12 hours a day, go to dialysis 4 hours, nearly 30 hours a month, 3,120 hours a year, 52 weeks in a year, and you continue to do that, despite the fact that you got so many things happening. You seem to laugh all the time, you joke, because it's a reality that I have to face. I can't run from it. It's and even when I preach, I'm like Paul was in the scripture. Paul was writing letters of faith and determination while waiting to be killed, put to death. He said it best in one of his greatest letters. He said that faith is the substance of things hoped for, the evidence of things that are not seen. And here is a man about to be put to death, and yet he still had faith that life with God is great. And until we understand that God is great and that He alone is great, we can never reach our greatness. It was a long night. So yeah, that's how it goes. I had infection in my all over my body, and then there's clots in my leg and chest. Yeah, it hurts. It's a strain. You just don't know what I go through every day. The pain I be feeling all day long. That's why I cook food all the time. If I don't, I'll be a wreck. I hear it all the time. Anything that's fair? For me to laugh about my pain. The aspect of it was kind of off. I should have stepped back a tad, but I would have lost details of the group. You know, it's always something like that you miss. You don't think about it till after you finish the shoot. So, oh well. And that's the key of the photograph, the ribbon cutting. So I'm gonna have to go through here and do a crop out the tight edges where I missed Mr. Hilton. I'm gonna have to probably have to cut him out again. The only thing about these gigs, you can't go back and redo the situation. You gotta live with what you got. You go for what you know. Down the hatch, down the hatch. You gotta go.
I believe if others knew your story, it would probably inspire them at least 10 to 20, even 100 times greater than, just hearing it from someone who just suffers just a regular kidney disease, because this is rare.
It's a rarity. A lot of people just simply give up when they're going through this sort of thing, in particular with kidney disease. And then you got heart disease coupled with that, and then you got needing a heart transplant. A lot of people just say, I can't take any more of it. And I've known people to do that while on dialysis. Some people just sign off. They don't want to go back. And these are young people. Some are 50 years of age, 40. It's a level of determination that you got to find within yourself, to pull off this kind of, to get through this kind of madness, and then realize that you're not being picked on by God, but you're being picked out by God for a specific reason, and that makes you better.
Growing up with the kidney disease, how did it affect your childhood?
You didn't let what you had intrinsically affect you externally. You were just normal. And although I couldn't play with my brothers all the time during the summer months and during the heat of the days, and I just thought being in the house with my parents was just normal. I became close to my mother and father, so much so they were like my sister and brother. I never looked at it any different while they were outside playing. I just thought that I had a protective situation that I needed to be inside with my parents because I couldn't go outside a lot and play with my brothers.
This was the guest room. Nobody's slept in there, but this is where we slept.
How many of y'all slept in there?
Everybody. 9 when they was at home. 2 of us left, but they say there was 7 of us in there. One room right here. My dad and mom had in the back here. And we had a garden out here. Huge garden. And then a garden in the front where that trailer is. Big, beautiful garden. We raised everything, peas, greens, everything we had to eat in the kitchen, we raised it in the garden. I'm always mesmerized by amazing that we made it from here to where everybody is.
You know, he was living life to his fullest, as far as I'm concerned, and from observation as to where he is now, as opposed to his early childhood. Charles is the kind of person that, even right now, does not let situations or circumstances deter him.
You have to do it every time you travel. You can't just pick up and go. You have to get with a social worker and plan your travel time for the treatment and do it when you get to the location. That's how I did when I was went to New York, Chicago, California, Washington, Las Vegas, and then I had dialysis the day before yesterday, Monday, and I dialyzed the whole time, 4.5 hours.
It's a wonderful thing that we have dialysis available. Patients can live, they can play, they can go on trips, they can do lots of things. And so dialysis is not a death sentence. Dialysis is a great thing. It keeps people alive, it keeps people healthy. And then it can be a bridge to a new life, a normal life again, with kidney transplantation. So folks can go from chronic kidney disease to kidney failure with dialysis, and then to kidney transplantation, where they can function and do what they've always done before.
I'm too tired, man. I'm hurting, dude. I'm in bad shape right now. See, what happens is I start itching. I'm sick of this crap, man. My chest is hurting. I've had so many bacteria infections, I nearly died a couple of times. I just stopped taking showers.
It's unbelievable, because when he was down here last year, year before last year, he's unbelievable. He left here and went back to North Carolina, and we thought he wouldn't make it.
My mother was instinctively doing what the Creator had been positioned into her soul DNA to do. I think that had she not done that, I probably would not be here today. The motherly reality that they perpetuate within themselves to their children. They not only provide a sense of parental caress for their children, but they also provide a sense of divine protection and foresight.
I know we've done a bunch of testing for you the last time that you were here to try to kind of get to the bottom of all these preformed antibodies and all that you've had to try to see if we can kind of get those down and figure out, you know, whether transplant being the right option for you. Why don't you roll this down a little bit for me? And you get your dialysis through PD?
No.
Oh, I'll get through the catheter?
Yeah.
How long has it been that you've been getting it through the port?
About 12 months.
12 months.
Chris said your potassium shot way up. They fixed that in the dialysis.
They did.
And then your blood pressure was low, so they
increase your dry weight? Is that what happened?
No, they decreased it and blood pressure dropped. I was cramping real bad.
So we've had a chance to review your antibody levels. I mean, that was the other big thing from last week or the last time you were here. And you took the one cycle of Rituxan and IVIG. It really didn't have any impact at all on your antibody levels.
Really?
So they're still quite high. The challenge is that we don't know a lot about lowering antibody levels in potential transplant candidates. It's easier if you're doing isolated renal transplantation, and there's a pretty good literature. So if you're going to get a living related kidney, for example, where you know what day you're going to have the operation, there's this beautiful preparatory regimen where they perform plasmapheresis and they give intravenous immune globulin and they give Rituxan. I mean, it's really very elegant. The problem with you is we don't know what day we're going to be transplanting you. So you can't start that preparatory regimen and keep it going for months and months and months. So I thought that we gave you sort of state-of-the-art medicine with the Rituxan and the intravenous immune globulin. We can try giving you another cycle to see if it gets better. There's another regimen that people are interested in, uses a drug called Velcade, which is a newer drug that kills cells in your body that produce antibodies. And those are the cells that we kind of need to get rid of. The drug has more toxicities, so there's more potential side effects, I think, with that than the regimen we used. And we've not done it in heart yet, but they've done it in lung and several other conditions. I think the pediatric heart transplanters have done a little bit of Velcade. So I think that that would be another thing that we could think about doing, or we could just sort of watch here for a while and see what happens and recheck your antibodies the next time you come and see if they've gone down any, and keep looking for an organ for you. It looks like about half the organs that get offered to us would be incompatible with you. So that means half would be compatible. We may be able to reduce that some, but I bet you we don't get it down so that we have almost all the organs.
What if I do this process you just mentioned?
The Velcade?
Velcade.
This is the problem. I don't know. I mean, there's anecdotes, there's stories. It worked great in this person, it didn't work at all in that person. Let me engage the kidney transplant docs in this conversation as well and see what they think about desensitizing you and see if they've had any good luck with any regimen that they've tried. I'm very optimistic about almost everything that we do in transplant cardiology except for this. I'm kind of nihilistic about it. I'm not sure that I've got anything that really reliably works.
What would this entail if I did that?
It would be something rather similar to what you've just done. It would be outpatient treatments, would be Velcade probably instead of Rituxan, and probably some additional IVIG. Yeah. For example, we know that people who have very weak hearts and have heart failure send less blood to their kidneys, and it's not uncommon for their kidneys to become dysfunctional. So we're finding that there's this growing population of patients who have both dysfunction of their hearts and their kidneys, and in many cases the right strategy, the right treatment approach for these patients is to undergo combined heart and kidney transplantation. This certainly adds a layer of complexity to an already complex medical situation. Transplantation, although commonplace in American medicine, is still a relatively complicated and expensive procedure. And instead of transplanting one organ, now we're talking about transplanting 2 organs and coordinating all of that care. The other challenge that we face in combined organ transplantation is the need to find donors who have both suitable hearts and kidneys for transplantation. And certainly one of the limitations that we have in supplying and treating the patients that we have with advanced heart and kidney disease is a lack of suitable donors. And it's hard to stress the importance of considering organ donation as something that you want to do in your lives. And I would encourage people to think and be very thoughtful about their desires around organ transplantation.
They put you in a coma for 4 days. Let's just say, I may not come out of the coma. That's the scary part about it, not being able to come out of the coma. So that's my worry. This heart condition is a serious matter, man. They do the heart first, don't survive, but then
They can't jumpstart you in the 20 seconds, you ain't coming back. That's the emphasis. Once they put the heart in and plug you up to a machine, jumpstart you. If your body doesn't react within 20 seconds, I think that's what they said, you're a dead stick. There's no return policy here, buddy. It's over. You can go back to Walmart and ask for your item back, refund. It's non-refundable. If you survive that ordeal, 8 hours later they put the kidney in. Kidney transplant. The kidney is not that big of an issue. That's 6.5 hours or 6 or 7 hours. It's just a lot for two organs. That's why you got to do both at the same time. For me, I can't do one. If I did the kidney first, I probably wouldn't survive that surgery. So you do heart first, so they can survive the kidney operation. Now, when I was 32 years old, I had cancer, and I nearly died from cancer. I had chemotherapy for 2 months at age 32. There is very little information as it relates to end-stage renal disease and people who are most affected, the disenfranchised, the minority communities that are affected by kidney disease and end-stage renal failure, as well as hypertensive disorder and diabetes. These disenfranchised communities and the persons within them, low-income persons, they are affected by this. It's almost like it's a poor man's disease, and who cares? Wherein there's more emphasis on cancer and AIDS. I think that people need to see a side of a condition like this and realize that it's just not affecting poor people, it's affecting everybody of all walks of life. And I think that it should be brought to this main scope of society so that we can see that it's just not cancer, it's just not AIDS, it's just not other mainstream diseases, but kidney disease is a leading cause of death among black communities and the disenfranchised of this society. Every 2 hours per day, someone has died awaiting a kidney transplant. Every 2 hours. That's 365 and 1/4 days, 23 hours, 56 minutes, and 46 seconds of every day that the world spins on its axis at a speed of 1,037 1/3 miles per hour. 2 hours of that speed around the sun, someone has died awaiting a kidney transplant.
It makes a big difference, your whole attitude and your whole approach towards your disease. So people have to take control of the disease process. One of the things that they do is to be compliant with their visits to the doctor, compliant with taking their medication, exercising on a regular basis, eating properly, having a healthy lifestyle, getting rest. All those things are very important.
Bill after bill after bill. Some a little bit less than others. A couple of thousands here. 185. 1,336. 1,729. Scared to open from Moses Cone. Moses Cone, medical services, cardiac care. Moses Cone. Fresenius Baptist Hospital. Baptist. Greensboro Radiology. Moses Cone. Greensboro Radiology, that's a couple of thousand right there. Urology. Yeah, specialists. And just go on and on. Break of dawn. between $200,000, $300,000. That's how far behind I am. I pay on it, in order to start my, get my co-payment back together at the end of each July. About $20,000 in order to, continue these services. So I do. And then I do co-payments. You got to meet your deductible. My deductible is like 10 grand in order to stay on there, to meet my deductible, in order to pay $10 for office visits. So it's tough. Pitching pennies. It's my medicine cabinet. My meds. It's pretty difficult for me, to go anywhere. I have to do things in spurts, because I can't afford to do nothing. I'm too sick to be on vacation. Man, I've had my lights turned off. Got one car repossessed. Just got back from the hospital. They came out and repoed my car. I didn't have no way to get around, man. Everything was really bad because everybody was asking me for money. Well, I started out doing art as I was a comic book artist. I started out following. My art was a thing from Spider-Man, just comic books, and I started doing comic book art as a kid. And I essentially taught myself how to paint. And as I became strong in painting, it just developed over the years. And all the university system did was just give me the tools necessary to harness the skill, to find other avenues to which to express myself. And I became more interested in landscape painting and portraits. I love nature, painting, doing nature stuff, because you lose yourself in the reality of the moment. You can't take a three-dimensional world and put it on a canvas, but you can sure make it two-dimensional, because you can be on one side of the canvas and the art is on the other side. So it's a two-dimensional reality that you're putting on canvas, and you're stepping yourself into it. You're putting yourself into every aspect of the creation of God. And although you can't do what he did, but you are putting it on a canvas to kind of, it's like an impressionist idea. Putting God to a confined space. But yet, when I look at a painting that I've done, particularly like that one over there, it's like I'm walking on that bridge. Your life is in the brush, and your soul is in the paint, and your spirit is in every stroke that you put on that canvas. So it becomes you and God in a two-dimensional surface. To live with the expectancy that every day is your last day. I mean, you need to live as though you're living in a minefield. You could step on a mine and blow yourself right out of existence. I mean, every breath we take is a limited amount of breath. You go down in humility when you lay in your bed, and you rise in victory when you have life. Just standing in front of the mirror. Going out of your home, it could be a sudden death situation. So every step that we take is an uncertain possibility of the end. And I don't worry so much about dying. It's just I just want to be there when it happens. I die tomorrow. I'm not really dead, because they're still here. My energy lives on in my children. Through the eyes of my son, I'm still living. Through the DNA of my daughter, I'm still alive. So the influence of my mother and father are living in the tips of my fingers and in the sole of my feet.
It is a little depressing, a little sad. And wouldn't it be great if we could reduce the number of people with chronic kidney disease so that everyone with chronic kidney disease could receive a transplant, so we don't have a waiting list anymore for kidneys and for transplant organ donation? Wouldn't that be great? We want ambassadors up here on a grassroots level to go out to churches, corporations, schools, civic organizations, and tell people what we are going to do and why we are fighting so that we do not have a diagnosis of chronic kidney disease anymore.
And Wayman Blackman.
And Wayman Blackman.
Representing the staff-centered organization at North Carolina A&T State University.
We're here walking for my dad. He has had kidney cancer. He has no kidneys and he's on a transplant waiting list. He goes to dialysis 3 days a week. So we're walking to get recognition to help get him a kidney.
We're walking for Lynette Patterson, Marshall's Gift. Hello, I'm Jackie and this is my sister Hattie and we're walking for ourselves and we go to Northside Dialysis.
Yay!
And this is our support group. Yay!
Okay. I'm working for my sister, and it'll be her great aunt.
Thank you.
And she's been gone for 19 years. She had kidney failure.
All humans are defined by the life force to which they're currently living. I'm defined by the condition that I'm facing. And excuse me, son. That definition is based on a need to be transplanted. And I define myself now as someone who's in a whole lot of pain, need a transplant, and dying soon. I define myself under the umbrella of death.